What's going on, guys? Welcome to another review from Tom from the Geek Culture Podcast at geekculturepodcast.com. As you guys can see, we are going to be reviewing one of the newer lines from the Marvel Legends series, and at the end of it, we are going to be building Absorbing Man. We have one of each of these figures, so we are going to unbox them, not on screen because that is lame, and show you guys articulation points, talk about the paint, and how I feel about the figures. So first and foremost, let's start with this Venom. All right, so here he is. I love this figure. I don't have a lot of newer Venom figures, so this guy is probably one of my favorites. Definitely surpasses a lot of the early Toy Biz stuff. As you can see, he's got a really deep chest click, so you can make him crawl or you can make him bend over and stuff. The one thing that sticks out to me, really sticks out to me, was the paint on this figure. I'm going to show you guys a little bit later the other head that's behind him, but he's a super easy to stand figure. He's a super easy to pose figure. So he does have closed hands and an extra head, and he also comes with the two variant heads for Absorbing Man. So there's his back. The paint blur on the white is a little normal. Every other figure that I've seen with solid lined white on black is typically a little bendy. He's got double joints. He's got rolled feet. No finger clothes, but his head is really good for articulation, up and down, left and right, easy bends. And the best part about him is he is insanely easy to stand up, and you guys know how I feel about figures that don't stand up, where there are quite a few in this line. But here he is, Venom. All right, on to a figure that has a hard time standing up. Jack-o'-lantern. This figure is really cool. The one thing about him that makes him a little hard is he's so top heavy. But overall, they did an insanely good job with this guy. The mold on him is incredible. There's lots of detail to all of his pouches, to the mold, his head, to the clear plastic fire that comes up through him. He's an insanely good-looking figure. A little weak in the knees. If you guys look at it, you almost look like his right joints almost don't look correct, or like they're almost too bent. But I did have to stand him up with his like fire broomstick, and he also comes with I think it's called a scythe. But yeah, so we'll take a look at these. Now these are painted really cool too. They have a very metallic looking paint on the metal parts of this of his broomstick, and especially the scythe, and the handle makes it a little easy to kind of slip through his fingers as frail as they are. Hard time standing up, but overall an awesome figure. Must have as long as you have a base. All right, and now we're on to Morbius. This is another one of my favorite figures in this line, and it comes strictly from them taking time with paint on these guys. If you guys look, you can see that he's got fingernails painted. Oh, I'm showing you that you have a replaceable cape on him right now, which is kind of cool. I have a little hard time with, I believe, his left arm. It was really kind of stuck, and I couldn't get it down. So yeah, you guys are gonna watch that now. But anyway, it's cool that they give you the option to have like an arm down cape or like an arm up cape, depending on how you pose your Morbius figure. But back to the paint job on these guys. Even the molding. I mean, the hair is incredible, but the paint it's exceptional on this wave and this line of figures. He's got really detailed eyes, and the teeth on everything. Even if you go back and look at the teeth on the Venom, it's individual. The mouth are really good. There's no blur on like the really detailed parts of these figures and facial expression, and I'm just really into it. The other thing with this Morbius figure is he's got all your typical articulation joints for knees, ankles, feet, waist. His head does move, but it is a little tough right off the bat. Not a ton of movement with it, but he does turn and he does go up and down just a little bit, so be careful with that. But overall, super cool figure. Kind of wish he came with another set of hands, even though, and you still make him look pretty badass whatever way you pose him. And overall, well painted and super awesome Morbius figure. And now we are on to one of my favorites, my terrible favorites, Speed Demon. So if you guys know me at all, I am really into collecting obscure first appearance comics, and I actually already had Speed Demon's first appearance, and I love characters like this, and I love that Marvel Legends are starting to put out like these really terribly awesome, awful characters. So as cheesy as Speed Demon is, I love him. He's not super hard to stand. His paint's actually pretty good. I mean, it's pretty detailed for what he is. I love the fact, well, he's got closed hands for speed running, but it also comes with this head on a car. The wheels do not work. It's a simple mold, even though there's articulation to the flag, which turns, and the head, which also turns. But as far as wheels, he does not move. But this Speed Demon figure is I think funny. I mean, all in all, you might be the only person that went out, bought a whole wave, and you might be the only one of your friends that has a Speed Demon figure. And for that, I love this figure. Totally worth it. Totally worth the pickup, guys. All right, on to a classic. Here we are with Spider-Man. Edge of the Spider-Verse Spider-Man. He's actually pretty cool. The one thing about this is Ben Reilly's Spider-Man anyway. The one thing about this Spider-Man, and with any Spider-Man that I feel like Legends have been coming out with, is they're always insanely detailed and always top-notch for their figures. So, as you guys can see, I'm going to move him to the side. I do have a little bit of a trouble standing this Spider-Man up. It might be my own fault, but he's kind of weak-kneed. So he does get a little bit of a lean here on the box. And then I'm going to pull out like the Carnage head, like the Spider Carnage head, and it's got some extra hands if you use that head, which is really cool. The climb hands, fist, and an I love you sign. No, I'm kidding. It's the thwip. It's the thwip. So yeah, super cool. I love that. I'm not gonna call them accessories, but they really went all out with. They always go out with Spider-Man figures, and this one is no different. It's exceptional, and it's a very cool, fun figure, perfect for a collection if you're a Spider-Man fan. And who are we on to next? Oh my God, we are on to Marvel's Beetle. It's funny, you guys know me now. You've watched reviews, and I am not a huge fan of female figures. There's something about Marvel's Beetle though. She's got a really deep back or a really big ass. There's something about it, and it's not even like a good thing. I think they really went all out with knowing that like their female figures are really hard to pose. So I don't know if this is a new thing. You guys can hit me up in the comments below. Let me know if this is a different mold, but it feels different I'm trying to even think of the last wing figure I had. I don't even remember. Oh, it was Wasp. And Wasp had a hard time standing up, but Beetle is really, really easy, and I attribute it to her curved back. She's not really hard to pose. Wings can always help if she's got a lean and your figure's a little bent. You can poke them down and give her an extra 2 points to kind of lean on. But she's really cool. Fingers are very dainty. I kind of wish they went with more articulation for these female figures, or gave her something, or even different hands that it wasn't so, I don't know, feminine looking. They make her look a little badass. But overall, for a female figure, I was really, really happy with Marvel's Beetle. So yeah, definitely a cool pickup. Oh my God, this explains perfectly how I feel about Spider-Gwen. This was obviously the hardest figure for me to find out in the wild. If you guys are doing whole line series, you either bought 10 of them and you're selling them on eBay for 30, 35, 40 bucks a piece, or you lucked out and bought one of these guys from, I don't know, Walmart.com for 15, and it's ridiculous. For a nothing figure, as much as I like her paint job, for a nothing figure, I really don't get it. She's got a different head where you can put on Gwen's cadaver head is really what it looks like. It's an expressionless face with a hood down. But there's nothing to this figure. I feel like the paint job's mediocre. The inside of the hood is pretty cool, and I like the idea of characters having hoods now. I feel like it might have opened the door for them to use different hood molds for other characters or variations of characters. It would be really cool to see more of these, I'm gonna call them like prop accessories or costume accessories for figures. She's not terribly hard to stand, but still, she's a little bit more girthy than I feel like the typical female figure, which is good. She's not impossible to stand. She could have used more hands like a Spider-Man would. There's really not much else to talk about with her other than she's overpriced and I think overly sought after. She's not that cool, guys. Stop making these shitty figures the pinnacle of the collecting. All right, so here, I'm going to nerd out on you a bit, though. The one thing I noticed about these, if you guys are collectors to everything and don't just collect loose, is they change the boxes and the tabs on the sides. I know, this is nerdy, but I love it. So you don't pull the tabs out while you put your figures away in their box. They slide in, and there's no catching on the tabs anymore. So easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. You put your tabs in, and then boom, you don't have any ripped corners on the inside of your boxes. And it makes me a happy guy, so I had to share it. All right, so we've gone through all the figures in this wave and pulled out all the pieces, and now you guys are gonna watch me struggle and put together Absorbing Man. I like that they gave you the option for a variant. Now, the issue with this figure, much like any figure that comes with multiple arms or different heads, I'm gonna say, even though I don't have him, Rhino, another one is the King Thor or the Odin figure. Is you're left with extra pieces where if you want to complete a whole different character, you have to buy multiple duplicate figures, which kind of sucks. But Absorbing Man is kind of a monster of a figure, and I didn't mind doing that. So it's a little peek into a peek into the future of what I'm going to show you guys. All right, so. I go with, I think this is the rock arm. Yes, I believe this is the rock arm because the metal one's the other one that goes with the ball. So the rock arm and I think the wood arm, right? Yes. So I'll give you guys a little bit of a better look at these. I dig the classic look, the purple pants with the stripes. We're going to go into a little bit more detail about his articulation as well. So I go with the rock side head right there. Which is really cool too. Now, like I said earlier in the video, the things that really make these figures stand out now are the insane paint jobs and how hard they are to put together. After I turned off this camera, I took him all apart and re-clicked in almost every appendage because I feel like they just don't click in as easily as they used to. But he's very cool. He stands fairly easily. So this is where I figure out that that's the metal arm. But yeah, so this is variant 1 of Absorbing Man. His belt is loose, which is kind of cool. It's all a different part of the mold, and it can move around, which is really cool. His legs, I noticed at this point, weren't clicked in all the way, but his eyes really cool. It's painted. He's got good movement with his head, not so much up and down on this head, which I feel like shouldn't have made a difference, but full articulation left and right. Arms are great, all typical stuff. The knees are hidden really well with the stripes, so you don't see these huge notched knees. But he's a pretty easy stander, and even on the bottom of his feet, his boots, where they look like one piece, the plastic goes over and it's ball jointed down there, so you can get a left and right turn on his feet and really get him into a stance where you're happy with him. So he's a really super cool character. And I dig him. He's a monster too. He's a big, good-looking build-a-figure man. All right, guys. So here it is. Like I said before, if you want both variants, you're gonna have to buy Speed Demon, Jack-o'-lantern, and Beetle, and use the other parts that came with to get, boom, the second variant. So here he is, the more humanoid-looking Absorbing Man with the metal arm holding the ball and chain from Spider-Gwen. Face is extremely detailed. He's got a better up and down. I mean, I don't know what it was with this figure. Look at the muscles on his back. He's an absolute monster. The chain, I almost wish was completely loose. It just looks insanely fake, and you have to like pose his arm in like a backswing in order to make that chain look remotely realistic. But he is really cool. I'm glad I went with both variants. He's detailed on the bottom of his feet as well. He's got a heavy click in his mid-torso section, so let's get a better look. I don't know if you guys saw him straight on, but as you can see, the paint on his face, the paint on his arms, they're incredible. So much good detail on these figures. Really get a good look at the face, the teeth, the mouth, the eyes. These figures are really setting the standard. Setting the standard for paint and even mold. You know, I feel like we're always going to have very generic bodies for now. But as far as these figures go, with appendage molds, they're really killing it, and I'm really happy where the Legends line is going. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys know, we are actually a podcast. We don't just do toy reviews, so you can find us on iTunes and Stitcher. There'll be links in the description below, so you guys can subscribe to that and listen to us talk about video games, movies, television, and toys. We go to live events like Comic-Cons and Free Comic Book Day and a bunch of stuff on there. You guys can go to geekculturepodcast.com for reviews on anime and a bunch of other stuff. So make sure you guys go there as well. We are also on a ton of social media, including Twitter at Geek Cult Podcast, Instagram at Geek Culture Podcast, and you guys can find us on Facebook for constant updates at facebook.com/Geek Culture Podcast. And if you haven't already, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel. This channel only lives with subscriptions. There's a ton of kids out there that are doing reviews on Marvel Legends, so it would totally help us if you guys check these out, shared them on your Facebook page, or commented and liked them. It's awesome that you guys are so interactive with us, and we appreciate it. But we're going to ask for some feedback. Do you guys like these long videos, or would you rather see in more details single figures? I'm going to be doing the newest Legends line that just came out. That is the line with the Build-A-Figure Red Skull. It is super badass. I can't wait to get my hands on that Taskmaster. And what else? Demolition Man looks so badass. So please, guys, make sure you subscribe and keep an eye out for those. And leave comments below. Let me know how you guys want me to break down these future reviews. If you guys are into video gaming, you guys can find me, Tom, the leader, the cult leader of the Geek Culture Podcast, on a bunch of stuff, Twitter, Instagram, and following me on Facebook. Everything is under Tom Over Chaplin. With that being said, thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. It got a little long. We're almost at 18 minutes, so I'll close up. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you, and goodbye. Welcome to the cult.